everybody. It's Case, and it's another great edition of Wall to Wall Country right here for you on Penn's Peak Radio. Hanging out with you, enjoying some spring finally here in Northeast Pennsylvania. The show continues. We're on our third year of this, and so privileged to have the opportunity to speak to some really great artists every single Wednesday, and today is no different. This is truly an honor and a pleasure to speak to this gentleman. He ranks with the people of the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. He's a vessel that brings to life country, hymnal, bluegrass, even all the way up to rock and roll music to the ears of all of his fans. He's been on TV series, Country Family Reunion and Larry's Country Diner, which you guys all know very well. Was a huge part of a very influential group of guys that did country music, and he's still out there performing today. God love him. Everybody please make welcome to the show, Mr. Jimmy Fortune. Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Casey. Sure, after that introduction, I tell you what, I just need to hire you to just all the time, just to come help me out. I tell you what, that was awesome. I don't know if I can live up to that, but I appreciate it.
Oh, well, I'm sure you can, considering it's all about you, but thank you so much for that. You're making me blush early in the interview, Jimmy. Stop that.
Well, you know, it's always nice to hear those things, and like I said, I have to pinch myself sometime to realize that actually all that happened. My life has been music. You know, somebody said, "Did you ever plan anything in your life?" I said, "No. My life pretty much lived me." You know, and those things are like God things, the Hall of Fame and being with the Statler brothers and things like that. But I have really had a blessed life, and now I get to talk to someone like you and tell people all about it. And, you know, what more can you ask for?
I mean, you truly are the definition of someone who's lived life to the fullest and kind of been in the right place at the right time. You know, whatever you want to call it, fate, God shined upon you and put you right in front of certain people that got you to do some really cool things. And of course, you know, most people are going to know you from the Statler brothers, of course, even though you're not a brother, at least not by birth anyway, but in performance for sure. But let's back up just a little bit and maybe give some information to some of your fans and my listening audience of how that all came about, because obviously you're not a Statler. But yet you performed with them for many, many years. But let's back up and tell a little bit history of Jimmy Fortune before he became a Statler brother.
Well, I grew up in Virginia, and if you saw the Waltons TV show, you saw exactly how I grew up. Places matter of fact, I got to know Earl Hamner, who was the writer, creator of the Waltons, and we got to be good friends, and we'd share stories from time to time. But I grew up, my family sang all the time. I was number 7 of 9 children. And
wow.
Sang. My daddy played mandolin, and we sang in churches and things like that. I was 12 years old, got my first guitar, and I started playing music, and I had a band together by the time I was 13. We were making like $1 a piece. And I told my daddy, I said, well, I'm on my way, man. I'm going to make a living at this. And he said, boy, are you crazy? He was trying to talk me out of it.
Hey, you were making enough candy money, man. That's a lot of penny candy.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to school with money in my pocket from playing little elementary school PTA meetings and dances and stuff, for singing for my lunch money and all that stuff, you know. So, and then eventually kind of led me to getting out and playing moose lodges and elks lodges, and we were making like $5 a night. You know, we were really moving up, and and so through the years, by the time I got to be with the audition for the Statler Brothers, I was playing clubs in Virginia for 6 nights a week, 4 hours a night.
Wow!
And I had 2 daytime jobs. I did that for years and years and years, and it was at a jam session one night in 1981, the night before Thanksgiving in 1981. I went up to play a jam session. I had a night off that night, but I played a jam with some friends of mine, and Lou DeWitt of the Statler Brothers, who sang tenor, was there. I didn't know that he suffered from Crohn's disease, and we talked that night, and we became friends. And I thought after that night, we actually sang together and everything, and I thought I'd never hear from him again. And then right after Christmas, I got a call from the Statler Brothers. Lou was going to have to be out for for his operation on his Crohn's disease, and he was going to be out for about 6 months. And I was the first name out of his mouth.
Nice.
When they asked him if they thought someone could fill in for him, and so make a long story short, I did audition, and I'm writing a book about my life right now.
Nice.
And hopefully have it out in the next year or so. But and that story will be in there in detail. And believe me, it is a story and a half. But and anyway, I was there for 6 months, and then Lou came back for a couple of weeks in July of 1982. He asked me if I wanted to do it full time because he didn't think he could take the road anymore, and so I said I'd be an idiot to turn it down, and I would have because they did so much for me. But I became a full-time member, and I was there for almost 21 years.
Wow!
And until the Statler brothers retired in '02, and now I am in my 14th year of I'm in my 15th year now of a solo career.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at in a nutshell. But believe me, there's so many stories along the way as to how I got here. And you're right about being in the right place at the right time as a God thing. And that's the only way I know how to explain it. When I look back on all of it, how it all took place, I realized even when I was auditioning that I was somehow or another in the back of my heart and my mind, I was meant to be there.
Was it like an out-of-body experience, kind of where you're looking down and going, wow, is this really happening? I mean, is it like, am I dreaming? Somebody pinch me and wake this up. I mean, was it reality at that point yet? Had it all sunk in?
Well, I remember I'd gotten a call, and I knew when I went into audition, I met him, and I sang with him. I'd been working so much, I had laryngitis, and I couldn't, and kind of a strained vocal cords at the time because I was playing and singing so much. And I knew in my heart, I said, I can do this. This is something that I know I can do. Now, if I thought in the back of my mind, oh my God, how am I going to do this? As far as singing and doing that part of it, I knew in my heart I could do it. And so it was kind of like one of those things, well, if this all goes together like I think it is, this is going to work out pretty good. And so it was actually the day after Air Florida, I flew to Nashville to audition from. I had auditioned in there was a accident, a plane crash and they called it Air Florida, which fell in the Potomac up there in Washington D.C. It was January the 13th. 1982, and I flew to Nashville. I never had flown before, but they flew me into Pittsburgh from Virginia, and they were shoveling snow off the plane. and the guy was sitting next to me, and I'm kind of humming, and kind of tapping my foot. And the guy sitting next to me said, "Son, if you don't mind me asking, why are you so happy? They're shoveling snow off this plane after what happened yesterday." I said, "Man," "you ever heard of the Statler brothers?" He said, "Well, yeah, everybody's heard of the Statler brothers."
Sure.
"Well, I'm going to audition for them in Nashville." He said, "Are you kidding me? They're like my favorite group." He stood up on the plane. "Hey, man, this guy's going to Nashville to audition for the Statler brothers. Let's get this plane." Everybody's like, "Yeah, let's get it going." And so it turned into a kind of a, everybody got real happy, and we're just like, loosened up everybody for a little bit, and we made it. And then I wound up getting the job with the Statler brothers, and so I look at things like that, and I go, man, and this is like a little kid from, it was playing in the little leagues,
Yeah.
And somebody comes up from the Yankees and says, "Hey, man, we think you're pretty good. Why don't you come play with us?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally how it was.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a crazy story. And it's too bad cell phones, weren't back then. That guy would be taking his selfie with you and going, "I know that guy. Look, I sat with him on a plane."
I had that moment, and there are so many moments like that I wish I'd had. I got to meet. I got to be with President Reagan for quite a bit. We did the DARE program. Started that with him and Nancy Reagan, and we did a lot of things. I met so many, like just stars from Broadway to movies to in every aspect of life. I met all those heroes and so many people and spent time with them, and I had so many stories, and some of them were like I wish my dad. My dad was a Gene Autry fan, and
wow.
So many people. I was sitting next to Gene Autry in his out there at the Angels game in his suite, and he's taking us to the ball games and things like that, to his house and showing us around and stuff. And I'm like, I said, I want to tell my dad, and I can't, but I did call him later after I got back to the hotel, and I called my dad, and he was so excited, me telling him about it. But I said, those moments where, the cell phones are kind of a necessity, but they're a curse too, and in some ways, but they have really helped in so many ways, as far as like that moment of just capturing that moment,
Right,
It's pretty cool. But I didn't have it then, but I have it in my heart, in my mind,
That's amazing. I mean, you said, you have so many stories, and I think writing a book is probably the best thing to do when you have so many stories, to share them and document them and let people read them. And when we were talking off air just a moment, I had said to you that my show is called Wall to Wall Country, like edge to edge. And you had made a comment, something that you have a story about that. So I'm kind of curious about the story of Wall to Wall, my show. What?
Called Wall to Wall, right? Okay.
Uh-huh.
And here's the thing. When the Statler brothers started, their first hit was Flowers on the Wall.
Mm-hmm.
And our last chart-topping hit was a song called More Than a Name on a Wall. Lou wrote the first one, and I wrote the last one.
Oh, wow.
Like Statler Brothers, Wall to Wall.
Nice. That's crazy.
And all those years in between, as far as chart-topping songs.
Yeah, so it does go wall to wall there. What's one of, or maybe one of your top favorite tunes that you liked performing with the Statler brothers?
Well, that is one of them, More Than a Name on a Wall, because it was a tribute to the veterans, and it was inspired by me going to Washington D.C. And there was a big controversy about the Vietnam Memorial, and people were saying they liked it or they didn't like it, or they should have done this, they should have done that. So I just made a trip up there myself, and I went up and I looked at all the memorials that are there, and they're beautiful. There are some beautiful memorials. But when I came to the Vietnam Memorial, it was a spiritual thing for me, because I saw 60,000 names on one wall.
Wow.
And it had a way of humanizing it for me. It just brought it to, oh my gosh, I looked at each one of those names and realized that behind each of those names there's
a person.
There's a person, and there's
their family,
there's
and
a mother, there's a father, brothers and sisters, the husbands and wives, sons and daughters. And each one of those names affected so many people, and I listened to some of the stories, and one of them was a woman that was talking into the wall as if her son was listening to her, and saying how much she missed him and how much she loved him and how much. And so this profound statement hit me as the tears were coming down my face, that more. He was so much more than a name on a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that's a beautiful memorial, and it's a great way to come back and remember, a place to come to and remember and never forget about those people and what they did for our country, and they all gave their lives for us, and and there's so much more to it than just being that.
Right.
Although it's a beautiful tribute, it's a beautiful place, but the truth is we can't make anything beautiful enough. We can't say, write, or sing beautiful enough words to say thank you. We really can't. But it's important that we don't forget what they are.
And then you came, that was the basis of the song, then you approached the Statler brothers with this. Did you write it, Jimmy?
Yeah, I went back home to I was writing with a friend of mine named John Reimel from Charlottesville, Virginia. We wrote together periodically, and we had an appointment set up to write. And so I called him, and I told him, I said, when we get together to write, I said, this is what we're going to write, a song called More Than a Name on a Wall. And he was all excited about it. So he was a piano player, and we got there, and he had already been thinking about it, and so he started playing this melody and tune. And so I'd already had a lot of the ideas and stuff, and the little story from the lady that I heard at the wall, and that was just one story of a bunch. But there's no way to put them all into it, so you kind of had to pick one and go with it. But and so I did, and we wrote it. And after we sat back and listened to it, we sat back and said, wow, it was really powerful. And I've had so many people come up after shows and, tears, and some of them can't say anything. Some of them will share stories that they've never told anybody else with you. And I had one guy in particular here a while back. He thanked me for that song. He said, Jimmy, I want to thank you because of that, before when we came home, he told me this horrible story that had happened to him over in Vietnam. And he said, and then when he came home from that war, he had his uniform on. He came off the plane, and he said the worst thing was he was spit on.
Yeah, unfortunately,
people didn't really treat him right. And I said, well, it's not that way now. And I said, we love you. And I put my arm around him. I said, welcome home. And he just cried like crazy. And he said, but that song was a turning point. He said, in time, because all of a sudden people started hearing that song, and he said, and it became a hit, and it became, a household song because people were accepting what it really was all about. These guys really went with their hearts in the right place to serve their country,
right,
to make a difference. Even though the outcome was different than other wars, they went for the same reasons. They laid their lives down for the same reasons.
Right. And those people should be thanked. They should be respected. And unfortunately, I think people forget a little bit about all of the things that we do get to do and we get to experience and how we get to live our lives for those men and women that are sacrificing seeing their moms and their dads and their kids and their husbands and their wives, and I'm glad it's changed. I'm glad it's definitely got a different perspective now.
I still can't get over the fact that, I've lived my life and I've gotten to enjoy what America is all about. And the reason for that is because these people, they gave their lives for us.
Right.
They did.
Yeah.
It's just it's a humbling thing for me, and one of the things that I enjoy the most is getting to say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just really, I really put a lot of emphasis on thanking those people.
Yeah.
And it's just a genuine from the heart, and it's not just one war; it's all of them. It's every one of them did it for the same reasons.
Right.
And a lot of them went back for the 2 and 3 times to do it all over again.
Yeah, can you imagine? I don't know. You go and you serve and you get shot at and you get blown up and this and that and the other thing, and then you come home and you go, oh, I think I'll go back and get some more.
I'm going to go back and do it again.
Yeah, really? God.
And it's because they're not
crazy.
thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the children of the future.
Yeah.
And wow, man, that thought is so much bigger than me. I can't get my heart and my head around it.
I know. And I think one of the things, maybe, Jimmy, what I'd like to do is, since we've had such a nice conversation about that, and that song does represent, more than the fact that, there's just a name carved in on a piece of stone, that carving, which represents a name, which represents a person, which represents, like you said, all the way down the line. Maybe, if it's okay with you, I'd like to throw that song out there and remind people what it's about. Can you hang in there for just a few more minutes, Jimmy?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, go ahead and introduce your song, Jimmy, and we'll play it for everybody here at PennsPeakRadio.
This is a song that means more to me than you'll ever know. I want to say thank you to all of our veterans. Here's a song that I wrote called More Than a Name on a Wall.
And we're back a little bit more with Jimmy. I know you're a busy guy, and I know you got a lot of things going on, but I just want to jump up just a little bit. You had mentioned about, you've been out there as a solo artist for the last 14 years. People still can find you. And one of the things that I wanted to make note for folks here in Pennsylvania, on the 22nd of April, which is not too far off from now, 10 days as a matter of fact, you will be performing at Higgins, Pennsylvania at the Tri-Valley High School. Which is just off 81. That's not that far from where we're located. And then in September, you're coming back to PA, and you'll be doing a performance in Lancaster. But they can find your whole schedule on your website and see where you're going to be performing, correct?
Yeah, you can get on my website, see what's going on with Jimmy Fortune. Of course, I had a new record out called Hits and Hymns that did very well over the last couple of years. Got a brand new one out now. It's called Jimmy Fortune Sings the Classics.
Nice.
Come pick that up. and so you're going to enjoy that. And also doing a cruise in July that you'll be able to see about on our website, going to Alaska. So
nice.
There are a lot of great things going on. I'm literally having a ball, and the great things that I get to come to places like Higgins and then of course back to Lancaster. Pennsylvania is actually one of the states that I love coming there, and obviously the people love me coming because they come to my shows all the time.
Oh, I know my listening audience. If you could sneak in coming back to our venue here at Penn's Peak, Jimmy, I know you'd sell out the house again here as well, locally here in the Jim Thorpe area.
Actually, my first solo shows when the Statler brothers retired. It's been about almost 15 years since I've been up there. But I remember that Jim Thorpe is just a beautiful place. It really is.
Well, you'd be more than welcome. And let me just say, if you are in town, you'd be more than happy. We'd love to see you here in the studio. Sit down, enjoy a few moments live with us on air and tell a few more stories, because it sounds like you're full of stories, which reminds me, you had also mentioned that you're writing a book. What's the wink, wink, nudge, nudge about the book information that people might be interested in getting and reading all your stories?
Well, the book actually goes back to before my childhood. It goes back to my mom and dad when they first met. It actually goes back to a woman named Mrs. Grills who taught my mama the Bible, who came and raised my mother because my grandmother died when my mom was 2 weeks old.
Oh.
And this woman just showed up out of nowhere, and her name was Mrs. Grills. And that's where the book starts, with her teaching my mom about the Bible and about Jesus, and just how it affected my mom, and then from my mom to my dad to all the children to me today. Even after Mom's passed away, her prayers and what she taught me, I still follow right today. And so through all the years of the Statler brothers, through the flood in 1969 we had, and Hurricane Camille in Virginia, where 180 people got killed, like in our little hometown, and then to all the way through the Statler brothers through today, and it's going to be called, the title of the book is called Untold Fortune. So I'm hoping to have it done within about a year.
Wow. So people can look forward to that as well, and find you on your website. Is there a presence on Facebook and Twitter and things like that for Jimmy Fortune?
Yeah, it's jimmyfortune.com, and people are on there talking all the time. I have a bunch of my fans called the fortune tellers that are out there telling fortunes all the time.
That's funny.
They call themselves the fortune tellers, but anyway, there's a bunch of them, and they've always got something going on Facebook and talking and things like that, and we all try to keep up. They come to as many concerts as they can, and I love seeing each and every one of them. It's just a family thing with us, and there's so many good people out there, and I'm just so thankful that I get to see them and say thank you all over again. And it's thanks to the Statler brothers for giving an old country boy a break like me. And there's so many people more deserving and more talented and everything, but I sure am thankful for the time that I've had and the things that I've gotten to do.
Well,
people like you too, Casey. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And you've definitely, you've got accolades that people have returned their gratitude towards you as well. I mean, we could talk for hours, I think, and just going through everything and reminding everybody everything that you have accomplished in your career. But getting out there and still performing and doing it for the fans and producing some great music. Just a quick reminder, it's jimmyfortune.com is the website where you want to go to know more about this guy. Find out about him. He's got a new album coming out called Sings the Classics. Of course, check out his cruise in July, going to Alaska. That sounds incredibly amazing. And hopefully soon get that Untold Fortune book out there. All of the stuff you can find through his website. I mean, you're just a busy, busy, busy man, Jimmy. And I don't know how you do it all. How do you get it all done in a day? My goodness.
Well, my wife helps me. My wife, Nina, she does a lot of the back-breaking hard work that I have to give her the credit, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Uh-huh.
There's so much that goes into it. So we're a team.
That's awesome.
And thank God she helps me. And she travels with me, too, so that helps, too.
I'd like to close out the interview with another tune and maybe play one more at the end of my show. This entire show gets recorded and then it'll air back on Sunday if anybody had missed the interview. Can you throw me maybe another one of your favorites that you perform with the Statler brothers that I can play a little bit later on or play following up the interview, Jimmy, that you like?
Well, one of the song that got it started for me with the Statler brothers, it was the first song I ever wrote, was a song called Elizabeth.
Okay.
And I got to sing it for Elizabeth Taylor for her 52nd birthday.
Aww.
And she was so sweet and so dear to me. And she always thought I wrote it for her, but I really wrote it because I love the name, and I think it's just a beautiful name. But you know what? In a way, I guess I did write it for her.
That's awesome. Well, we'll play that song also from you and the Statler brothers as well to remind everybody that if they did miss the interview and they missed the song we played a little bit earlier, which was More Than a Name on the Wall, we'll make sure that we let everybody know to listen in on Sunday and catch the entire interview. But I have to say thank you so much. I don't want to hold you up anymore, Jimmy, but you have been an honor, a pleasure, and truly humbled me to be able to speak to you and hear a little bit, just like the tip of the iceberg, about your wonderful career and everything you've accomplished. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll have everybody checking out your website and looking for all those exciting things you have coming down the pike in 2017.
Thank you, Case. I love you. Thank you so much. And I love all you out there. Thanks for listening.
And remember, check in if you ever happen to be here in Jim Thorpe or playing at our venue. We'd love to meet you. We're right in the venue, so it would be fun to see you. And I know everybody here would love to see you perform here at Jim Thorpe. So get your PR guys on it.
All right. We got to make it happen.
Woohoo! I'm excited. Thank you, Jimmy. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Case. God bless.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.